It's all the above, best believe we do it better. I want the fame, the fortune, all the above. I want the checks, the moolah, all the above. From Philadelphia to New York, all the above. Man, tell them other stations they don't do it like us. I want the fame, the fortune, all the above. I want the checks, the moolah, all the above. From Philadelphia to New York, all the above. Man, tell them other stations they don't do it like us.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Angel Marie, and I'm here with my co-host Kevin. And this week we're taking it back because we are going to give you guys the weekly rundown. So if you guys are our loyal listeners or just familiar with our show, you guys already know about our weekly rundown and how each week we usually give you guys Kevin usually gives you guys 5 topics, usually current events, pop culture, politics, news, pretty much anything, all of the above. And we just, chop it up and give our opinions on it. So here we go.
So this is the weekly rundown for the week of April 19th through April 25th. It's been a while since we did one of these. So there's so many things that have gone on. The world has certainly changed a lot. So we'll touch on a number of things. As always, I try to have some of the topics be lighter, and obviously with coronavirus, there's serious things going on. So we'll touch a little bit on it, but there's been so much going on, but we won't make it too heavy. So, as always, we're going to start with number 1 and get Angel's opinion. The state of Georgia reopened on Friday, April 24th, and it became the first state to fully reopen and ease social distancing requirements. State Governor Brian Kemp is allowing businesses including hair, nail salons, barber shops, massage parlors, and other businesses as well as gyms to reopen. Cities across Georgia, there's a number of mayors, including Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who's spoken out against the governor's decision. So, there's been a lot of the talk across the country about Georgia basically going back to business as usual. So your thoughts, is it too soon? Is it the right decision for businesses? Where do you fall on this?
Honestly, I think it's too soon. I feel like I understand that businesses do need to get back to work to kind of help with revenue and being financially stable, situations like that. But it is a bit selfish in a way because it shows how much Americans are greedy and care about money more than people's health. Because I feel like we should still extend it to an extra month and a half if need be, to make sure everything is going the right way. Because I understand a lot of the death rates have been declining and more new cases haven't been arising. So I feel like if we're on that path, then we should stick to what we're doing until it's almost fully cleared to the point where people can go back to work. Because with restaurants, hair salons, barbershops, that's where a large group of people usually come together, so that can easily respread all over again. But yeah, I feel like they need to wait. I like how, granted, even if it opens, I feel like it's up to us to really make that difference in a way, I guess, because it's even if a restaurant opens, you don't have to go.
Right.
Exactly. So regardless if they open or not, people still just need to stay home. You can control it. They're not putting a knife or a gun to your head telling you you have to come to their restaurant and get services. If you still want to get services, get takeout.
Yeah, the thing I don't really understand about it is why go full reopen all at once? You could have phased it in, but like you mentioned, she's opening, the governor is allowing everything to open. And these are especially gyms, places like that, where you have a lot of people in close proximity to each other. So I don't understand the complete reopen. If they're really adamant about trying to move towards that earlier than most health experts are recommending, earlier than a lot of the government agencies are recommending, at least do it in a rollout phase. But I don't understand the rationale for doing it all at one time. So hopefully the people in Georgia stay safe, use their head, and it doesn't lead to huge spikes, because it can have a ripple effect across the country. People in Georgia, if numbers go up, people cross state lines, travel, and so on, and it could be a problem. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I think it's weird too, because a lot of times with all these companies that open or still have people working, they always say our biggest concern is the health and safety of our employees and our customers. But how? Because I feel like that's not true if you're still opening up, having people working there where they're risking their lives, where you're still home, safe and sound with your family.
Right.
So I just feel like that's always a cop-out when that's the first thing that all these companies and businesses say as soon as they reopen, like, oh, we're still thinking about the health and safety and taking the right precautions. But what are the right precautions? Because nobody ever states what they're actually doing.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, we'll see how this one turns out.
Prayers.
Number 2, Kanye West is officially a billionaire. On Friday, April 24th, Forbes magazine officially gave him the title after months of him sharing his financial records with Forbes magazine. His net worth was estimated at $1.3 billion, and in full Kanye West fashion, he's reportedly not happy with the estimate and insists his net worth is closer to $3.3 billion. So Kanye West, he's actually referred to himself as a billionaire before, and we know celebrities look at the Forbes list and it's meaningful, but leave it up to Kanye to go that far where he would actually submit his financial records to Forbes magazine so they can put him on that list. But your thoughts on Kanye West being a billionaire, and did he go over the top trying to get on the list, even if it's warranted?
I do think this is typical Kanye fashion though, I feel like, because Kanye is always extra. I feel like for him to even reach out to Forbes and say, oh, I didn't make 1.3 billion, I'm actually worth 3.3 billion. I feel like it's so much. You're still a billionaire at the end of the day. We ain't billionaires, so be happy and grateful for what you have. They were pretty much right when they said you're a billionaire. Why do you have to throw it in everyone's face, especially right now during this whole pandemic where a lot of people are struggling financially, where you have to throw your money in their face, where it's like, oh, I'm worth like $2 more billion or whatever. It's like, I don't think it's the right time for you to be showboat with how much money you really have when there's so many other things. Are you going to donate that 1.3 billion then? Like, come on. I feel like there was no need for that, but I'm very curious as to how he quickly earned that and it rose so much. I think it was probably that whole Sunday service situations that he's been doing a lot.
No, I think it's actually, a lot of it was his partnerships with, I forget who he partnered, I think with Adidas, with the Yeezy brand. So it's that, I think he has, his record label. So it wasn't the Sunday services, it was, I guess, the accounting of these business partnerships that he had
that
and
makes sense.
The revenues that he's made from them.
Okay, because I will say I'm hoping to God it was not solely based off of the sales of Yeezys, because those things look like crocodile slippers, look like holy moly homeless shirts and pants.
A lot of people bought them though.
I'm shocked. Why? You can get information out for $12. But I digress.
Oh well. So yeah, I don't know. Well, it's interesting though because now that puts him past Jay-Z, who was, first hip hop billionaire. Puffy's Diddy, he's real close now. I think he's right around 970 million or whatever. But this re-accounting of Kanye's finances put him ahead of both of them. So Kanye is officially the richest person in hip hop.
We know Kim Kardashian is happy.
Yeah. Oh, their combined net worth, because Kardashian family is worth hundreds of millions too. So it's a lot of money.
Must be nice.
Moving on to number 3, Teddy Riley and Babyface had a rematch on Monday, April 20th on Instagram Live after the disaster, which was the first attempt when Teddy Riley had technical difficulties. Over, I think they said 500,000 people tuned in to the rematch battle. So I saw the first one. I only saw a little bit of the second one. How did you think the second attempt went?
It was great. I loved it. Obviously, a lot of us know how many hits that they both have collectively anyway, but it was just nice to see them play the tracks, and you didn't know what track they were going to play to counteract with what the other person just played recently to kind of battle them. So it was nice, especially the fact that they're both like fairly older than newer generations that have participated so far. So with this whole technology thing, it was interesting to see them both in the studio, like interacting on an Instagram Live together. It was kind of like somebody's older uncles at a cookout, like battling it out, trying to show the young kids who still got it. So
that's a good way to put it. I like that.
See, I loved it. It was really good, and I don't know if you were going to mention this, but because of their battle, all the streams for the songs that they had played actually rose on the charts.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine that.
So I'm sure all of the artists that they have wrote for or produced for are probably happy right now because they're getting some extra coins. So it was a good time.
It's also a good musical history lesson for, like you mentioned, a lot of younger people who don't realize a lot of the hits and the groundwork that these guys like laid. I mean, Babyface is a pioneer in R&B and soul, wrote for so many people, and Teddy Riley essentially developed a whole style of music, New Jack Swing, that still influences a lot of music today. So it's a good opportunity for younger people who are like, what's all this about? And I've heard of these guys, but let me really see what their body of work is, and it's a good little history for people who may not know really how great these artists and they are as producers as well. So
exactly, and I think it's hard because everyone kept saying, who do you think won? And I feel like they're both winners in their own right, because I think this is the first battle that I've tuned into that I couldn't solely pick a winner, because that was a great pair, like a great mashup for them to go against each other, because I feel like no one greater could go against Babyface and no one greater could go against Teddy Riley. So it was nice to have them together. And someone put it really nicely together that I read, where they said Babyface is the person that you would go to for a wedding ceremony, and Teddy Riley is the go-to person for the wedding reception. So I felt like that was really good how they paired together, because it's like you can't really put one against one another. You kind of have to put them together, and you still have magic.
No, that's actually very good. That's a very good way to put it. No, I couldn't agree more, and I really do like how they are pairing people up. They've had a couple other potential pairings, but I guess Swizz Beatz and Timbaland are behind it.
Yep.
So I want to see what other pairings are brought up, or other pairings actually get.
Well, they actually said Diddy and Dr. Dre are in the works of being the next.
That was one of the ones I thought of. I didn't know if they would do it or not, but that's the perfect match. I'd say.
A lot of people say that Diddy should go against JD though, like a Bad Boy versus So Def, because they feel like putting Diddy against Dr. Dre is a little unfair, because they feel like Dr. Dre has a better body of work where it couldn't be synonymous with Diddy.
No, I don't think so. I think they're on the same level. Puffy probably has more overall hits, and his music is more party music, because Dr. Dre, a lot of the hits that he was behind were during Death Row's era, where it was G-Funk, and so
but that's the thing though, because it's like Diddy has a more universal bio, whereas JD also has a more universal. I agree. I feel like a So Def versus Bad Boy is a little more appropriate. But it's funny because they said if Diddy goes against Dr. Dre, it'll be reviving the East Coast versus West Coast.
No, I don't think anybody can get into that now. No, but the reason I think Dr. Dre's a better fit too is that they've got more. JD had a lot of artists, but JD was R&B. JD was, hip hop. I think with Dr. Dre and Puff, especially since they came to prominence at the exact same time as producers, they've got the artists that are on the same level. So for instance, with Jermaine Dupri, he had Usher, somebody like the Brat, but Puff had Big and Dr. Dre had Pop. So you could put those two artists on the same level.
That's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, so that's what I think. You got to look at the artist. Then Dre had Snoop and Puff had Mace. Not that their music's similar, but I think it works if you've got artists that are on a similar level to have the battle as well, not just the producers. So I think that's going to be a good one. That probably may be the best one.
That one might break the internet, because Teddy Riley and Babyface already broke the internet, but this might double break the internet.
Yeah, because you're going to get people up to 50 who were, in their early 20s, mid 20s when they started first making their music, and then you're going to get the younger people who still rock with Dre and Puff. So that's did I give a date yet for that?
No. See, the whole thing is Dr. Dre is still telling everyone no. So all of these,
he said no. Okay.
He doesn't want to participate. He said it's not his style. He don't really want to be a part of it. So all of the mega producers are pretty much calling up Dr. Dre to get him to join.
I don't understand why he wouldn't want to do it. The whole point is it's not, just for show or anything like that. It's actually, to sort of bring people together and give them something to look forward to while everybody's at home. Come on, somebody like Babyface, who is huge.
Yeah,
has been for years.
Babyface did it, everyone got it.
Right, if he can do it, then come on.
And Babyface did it twice.
Exactly.
Like, Teddy Riley had messed up with his echoes, and you could tell Babyface was ready for bed. He came back, and he was ready.
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully they can put enough pressure on Dre, because I definitely would tune into that one. I want to see that one.
I shall. We will give our opinions if they do.
Number 4, I know you're a fan of the biopic. Some of your favorite movies are biopics.
Yep.
Whitney Houston, apparently the groundwork is being laid for a biopic on her life titled I Want to Dance with Somebody. It's got the support of her state, and Clive Davis, who signed Whitney Houston when she was 19, is one of the producers on the film. The producers describe I Want to Dance with Somebody as a joyous, emotional, and heartbreaking celebration of the life and music of the greatest female R&B pop vocalist of all time, tracking her journey from obscurity to musical superstardom. While being very frank about the price that superstardom exacted, it will be both the rich and the complex saga of the search for the perfect marriage between song and singer and audience, and at the same time the moving tale of a simple Jersey girl trying to find her way back home. So, the fact that it's got the support of her estate, Clive Davis, who was with her through her musical journey, are you confident that they'll get it right while being respectful and still telling the truth?
I honestly feel like they will. Obviously, I feel like with most of the biopics that always come out, there's still always a little bit of hiccups. There's a little bit of exaggeration that people put into something. There's always something that people just won't release because they don't want to ruin an image of a person.
And people get upset about how they're portrayed, family members.
Especially if that person is no longer here.
Right.
I feel like that's always a toss-up if the person isn't here to really sign off on their own biopic, because it's like, how do you know situations really happen? But remember, Whitney Houston already had one that came out where Yaya DaCosta starred as Whitney Houston. So I just feel like...
when I read that, I thought that. So maybe this is a response to that, because they want people who actually were family, the estate, the people who manage her estate, and Clive Davis. Maybe they want to make a version that they feel is more accurate. But you're right, I did
and
think
that's the thing, because the first one that they put out, the one with Yaya DaCosta, I felt like it centered so much around her relationship with Bobby Brown, and it didn't fully grasp the artistry of Whitney Houston, the greatness and the legend of Whitney Houston, her coming up in music, how she started off, how she broke records, her impact on the industry. Basically, it was all around her love for Bobby Brown. So I was like, it feels a little swayed. So I'm curious to see how this one will turn out. We'll see.
Yeah, biopics are always tough, especially if it's not a series like your favorite, Jackson's American Dream. That's like a 5-part series, so you have 10 hours to tell the story. But it's hard to give somebody's life story in 2 hours, because there's so much you have to skip, so much you have to leave out, and it's just like you're just hitting the mountain peaks. Like, all right, boom, let me cover the major events from this part of their life, fast forward a couple years to this point. So they're always tough, but you are gonna watch it, I guess?
Yeah, I will watch it.
Okay.
I wouldn't be against that. I feel like everybody's having biopics lately. Like Salt and Pepper is about to come out with one.
Really?
I think Wendy Williams is having something that's coming out. I don't think it's actual biopic, but it's something centered around her life as well.
I don't know. Everybody shouldn't have a biopic. Not that people's lives aren't interested, but Whitney Houston is somebody that people would be interested. Michael Jackson, Prince, people at that level, or maybe famous actors or actresses. But just because you're famous doesn't necessarily mean you should have a biopic.
Yeah, and nobody's checking for Salt and Pepper's biopic. I know I'm not. But one that was really, really good was the Clark sisters biopic that Lifetime put together with Mary J. Blige, Queen Latifah, and Missy Elliott as the executive producers. I feel like they need to just executive produce everything if that's how it's going to come out. I loved it. So I feel like out of the most recent biopics that came out, they stormed everybody. Half of the cast needs to get Oscars, Grammys, whatever, Emmys, whatever they deserve.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too. The only thing, that wasn't fresh in my mind because that's the most recent biopic that I watched. But they had to skip 10 years at some point.
They needed a miniseries.
Yeah, because you're telling the story of them as a family, but there's 5 of them. And they were covering, I think it started like 1963, all the way up to, the mid-2000s. So that's so much territory to cover.
And they rushed a lot of it, especially towards the end, they rushed a lot.
Exactly, it went so fast, it was like, oh. It almost felt like the movie didn't end, it just stopped.
Yeah.
But it was still very good. I still enjoyed it. I learned a lot about them, but that's why, biopics, that was the point I was trying to make, is I think biopics need to spread it out and maybe do, at least like 10 hours.
Yeah, even like with the whole When They See Us, how they broke that up in the series as well.
Yeah.
Like, something like that was great.
So, yep, we'll be checking for it. We'll see.
Yep.
And number 5, this is something that's been obviously making the rounds on social media, but 2 high school seniors in Georgia were expelled for posting a racist video on TikTok. The students were expelled from Carrollton High School Friday for racially offensive content on the video. In the footage, the 2 white students, Stephanie Freeman and Jeffrey Hume, used the N-word and made disparaging comments about black people. They were trying to mimic a cooking show. One of the clips said, hey, today we're making N-words. Stephanie Freeman said in the clip, which was later shared on Twitter. She said, first we have black, yeah, pretty black. Next we have don't have a dad. And then we have eat watermelon and fried chicken. No one is making good choices. Oh, there's no one there. I guess there was one where she was like making good choices. Nobody or whatever. So then she had an apology. Long apology where she talked about people, threatening, giving death threats, threatening her family, saying that, blaming on her boyfriend, he's racist and he normalized the behavior for her, and she didn't want people to contact her college or ruin her life because of one mistake. And then ultimately, the line that stood out more than anything is when she said, I believe blacks are humans too. Yeah. And before I guess I ask you, the reason that one stood out is like you conceded the most basic of like human decency of, oh, I guess you're human too. Why would you even need to say that?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just feel like that was such a, I saw the video, I ended up seeing the whole hashtag, so I clicked in and saw the video. It was very ignorant, very tasteless, and for them to be high school seniors, you can't really base it off of them being so young and immature. It's like, as a high school senior, you're old enough to fully understand how serious that is and how that's not something to joke about. I feel like it was right for them to get expelled from school and not participate in this whole graduation ceremony, but it's a little weird as well because obviously with the whole coronavirus, it's not happening for anyone, so I feel like it's a little backhanded.
Well, they're in Georgia, so Georgia's opening up, so I don't know. Maybe.
Even their schools? I thought all schools everywhere
were
completely done for the rest of the year.
I guess what does it mean that you're expelled then if you're...
They probably won't get a diploma, I'm assuming? I don't know.
Okay.
But I do feel like there should be some sort of consequences for them to at least learn from that. I feel like it was a cop-out for her to completely blame her boyfriend because she participated in the video, and the video looked like she was laughing and carrying on, having a good old time. So I just feel like with a lot of these situations that are racially influenced, once people get called out and criticized for it, that's when they all of a sudden apologize. So I feel like whenever people apologize for these kind of situations, I never feel like it's genuine. So that's the tough thing.
Yeah, I think that when people apologize, sort of following up what you're saying, when people apologize and they always say this is not who I am, I have to say this is exactly who you are, because you didn't just slip up and say something insensitive in the heat of the moment. This was calculated. This was planned. You made the video. Somebody didn't film you without your knowledge and put it out there and you were saying something, or there's no way this could be taken out of context. There's no excuse. This is something you planned, you filmed, and you posted. And to say that's not who I am doesn't make any sense. That's exactly who you are. And that's not a mistake. A mistake is, something that may happen in this, in the spur of the moment, or you make a poor choice. This isn't just something you decided to do. This is a reflection of your attitudes about black people, and you thought this was funny. You pulled all the, stereotypes that people want to throw out. So you are apologizing because of the pressure and it's affecting your life now. But it's a hard lesson to learn. You're a senior in high school. It's still young, but you gotta eat this. You gotta learn to accepting, the consequences of your actions. That's the first step of being an adult.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just tired of people saying this is not who I am.
Exactly.
No, that's exactly who you are.
I feel like a genuine apology could be like, I apologize for my actions. I now realize how foolish I was or something. I won't do it again, or I've learned from my mistakes. Don't blame someone within it and say, I didn't mean to do it. Just take ownership, apologize, and say you've learned from it, you'll move on, you won't do it again. Something like that, I feel, to me, would feel more genuine.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a tip to anybody who has to apologize. Don't make excuses.
Yeah.
People want to apologize and then make an excuse. Taking responsibility for what you did is not saying, well, my boyfriend, you gotta own your part in it completely. Don't even reference somebody else. You had a choice in that matter. So to me, that's one of the things I look for in apologies. I'm not saying people can't apologize, but I look for, are you trying to shift some of the blame, or are you trying to give excuses or qualify any of the things you did, instead of just saying this is terrible behavior. This is reflective of my attitudes, which I need to change. It's despicable, it's abhorrent, and I gotta become a better human being. But
I agree.
I don't think she did any of that. So, and I don't think the dude even had any kind of comment. Yeah, he's probably like, yep, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So, to recap the weekly rundown, number 1, Georgia reopened for business. So we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully the people of Georgia use their head and are smarter about it than the governor of Georgia. Number 2, Kanye West is officially a billionaire. Not as much as he believes he should be, but billionaire nonetheless, according to Forbes magazine. Number 3, Teddy Riley and Babyface had a successful rematch on Instagram Live. Number 4, the groundwork's being laid for Whitney Houston biopic. And number 5, Stephanie Freeman and Jeffrey Hume of Carrollton High School in Georgia were expelled for their racist TikTok videos where they made very vile, disparaging remarks against black people. So that is the weekly rundown for the week of April 19th through April 25th.
Yay! Bringing it back. All right, guys, there you have it. That was the weekly rundown. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys liked it, make sure, as always, you hit that like button. And if there was anything that we talked about that you guys loved or that you want to discuss or you want to bring up, make sure you hit that in the comment section as well. We would love to hear your thoughts on our video. And as always, if you loved what you saw and you would like to see more from all of the above, always hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Yes, keyword subscribe. You will always get new alerts every time we post a new video. And as always, I'm your girl Angel Marie, and this is my co-host Kevin.
See you next time.
See you guys next time.
Wednesdays at 7, Angel Marie and Kevin playing the illest records, bringing us back together. Philly is all season, storming through any weather, leaving the track bleeding. When we pull it together, we applying.